Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I am EJayGonzales in Washington. It's Saturday, March 11, 2023, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with the Federal Bureau of Investigation pledging to advance women in law enforcement in the country. To tell us more, here's Joanne Soriano.
At present, women make up 12% of sworn officers and 3% of police leaders in the United States. The goal of the 30 by 30 initiative is to engage 30% of women in police recruit classes by 2030. The FBI says its goal is to also ensure policing agencies are genuinely representative of the jurisdictions they serve. While 30 by 30 focuses on advancing women in policing, these principles are applicable to all demographic diversity. As part of the FBI's 30 by 30 pledge, the agency will review recruitment, hiring, retention, and promotion policies and procedures to advance its diversity developments. The 30 by 30 initiative is affiliated with the Policing Project at NYU School of Law and the National Association of Women Law Enforcement Executives. Joanne Soriano, New York, New York. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Now, the World Health Organization introduces its policy on preventing and addressing sexual misconduct. The health agency says this new policy has the victims and survivors at its core. It sets strict standards of zero tolerance and stresses that there can be no excuse for sexual misconduct. Rosel Feria tells us more.
The WHO's new policy on preventing and addressing sexual misconduct replaces a 2017 version. Investigations and audits find that the 2017 version has gaps in addressing the problems faced by victims and survivors of sexual misconduct. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says the suffering of the survivors of the cases of sexual misconduct during the response to the 10th Ebola outbreak in DRC has been the catalyst for a profound transformation of the agency's approach to preventing and responding to sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment. He says the new policy builds on the work already done in implementing the recommendations of the Independent Commission. Dr. Tedros says it is a key part of making zero tolerance a reality and not merely a slogan. The policy covers WHO staff and collaborators in locations where the agency operates. It sets 6 minimum standards to protect anyone subject to sexual misconduct by WHO staff or collaborators. Collaborators include consultants, contractors, and partners. Director of Prevention of and Response to Sexual Misconduct, Dr. Gaia M. Gamuage, says going forward, they want to ensure that no victim goes unheard or unsupported, no perpetrator goes unpunished, no member of staff has an excuse for misconduct or for inaction, and no partner is exempt from meeting their standards. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
There's good news for community-based organizations that provide or coordinate suicide prevention services for veterans and their families. The U.S. government will be giving $52.5 million in grants. Carlo Valdez tells us more.
The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, or VA, will be awarding $52.5 million in grants to anti-veteran suicide community-based initiatives across America. These include organizations with veteran mental health screenings, providing case management and peer support services, delivering emergency clinical service, and reaching out to veterans at risk of suicide. Preventing veteran suicide is VA's top clinical priority. In September, VA released the 2022 National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report. The report reveals that veteran suicides decreased in 2020 for the second year in a row. Fewer veterans died by suicide in 2020 than in any year since 2006. The VA says veterans at risk of suicide deserve quick and easy access to mental health screenings, peer support, emergency services, and more, both from VA and community-based organizations. This will be the second round of grants awarded through VA staff Sergeant Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program. Parker Gordon Fox was a sniper instructor who died by suicide at the age of 25. Carlo Valdez, Union, New Jersey. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In Atlanta, protesters have been arrested when a demonstration there turns violent. Myla Simbulan reports.
23 people are arrested after a protest against a new police training facility in Atlanta turns violent. Protesters wore black masks. They attacked the site of a police training center under construction. It was in a wooded area outside Atlanta. One protester was killed there in January. The area called Cop City by the opponents has become the flashpoint of ongoing conflict between authorities and left-leaning protesters. Police say almost all of the 23 people arrested are from states across the U.S. One is from Canada, another from France. Officials say protesters threw rocks, bricks, Molotov cocktails, and fireworks at police. Demonstrators tried to blind officers by shining green lasers into their eyes. They used tires and debris to block a road. Many of those already accused of violence in connection with the training site protest are being charged with domestic terrorism. This is a felony charge that carries up to 35 years in prison. Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
It's that time of the year when we have to adjust our clocks an hour forward. Some agree this really helps with energy consumption, but snooze experts say it affects a person's internal clock. What does this imply? Anna Kui reports.
Daylight saving time starts at 2 a.m. Sunday for much of the U.S. as many people wonder, will it become permanent or will it end permanently anytime soon? The U.S. Senate passed the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021, March of last year, just days after the clocks were adjusted to spring forward. It would have abolished clock changes in favor of daylight saving time year-round, but it has not been signed into law, even with the 2022 version of the bill. If the current bill passes, however, there would be no fallback in November, as it would become effective on November 5, 2023. Clocks would stay on daylight saving time permanently. Arizona, Hawaii, and 5 U.S. territories that follow permanent standard time would be exempt from the law. Sleep experts say standard time is a better option than daylight saving time for our health, mood, and well-being. They oppose permanent daylight saving time because they say the shift in the timing of daylight exposure can affect the body's internal clock, which follows a 24-hour schedule known as a circadian rhythm. On the flip side, there are those who say daylight saving time, which started in 1918 in the U.S., was created primarily to reduce energy consumption, and they say it still does. According to Sleep Foundation, 19 states have legislation calling for permanent daylight saving time, including Utah, Oregon, Florida, and Colorado, just to name a few, but that is if federal allows them to do so. Nevada and its neighboring state of California do not have such law at this time. Anna Kui, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Several stories from Thomas Likeness today, from fake weapons used to trick opponents, to volunteer traffic cops in South Africa, to lion cubs in Senegal. Here's Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. Where there's war, there's always opportunity for innovative businesses. This company in the Czech Republic is selling fake weapons. That's right, fake weapons to other countries in the world. You know, hunters have used decoys for years to attract their quarry, and now militaries worldwide are using inflatable weapons as decoys. They're made by a company called Inflatech, and these decoys can fool an enemy's infrared sensors. They cost between $10,000 and $100,000 each, but Inflatech spokesman Wojtek Fresser says it's good value if you can get your enemy to waste its resources on destroying the decoys. Sales manager Povin Kumaresan says he has a whole range of fake weaponry.
We produce about 30 plus decoys, different type of products, models of tanks, of aeroplanes, of vehicles and stuff.
And just who's buying this stuff?
We can't tell you how many countries we sell to, we can't tell you who we're selling to, but definitely we are selling to a lot of government around the world. Yeah, not only in Europe, also in other countries, other regions.
While he won't confirm he's selling to Ukraine, Kumaresan says sales have gone up about 100% since the war broke out a year ago. Well, the war in Ukraine has not been kind to Russia's top bank, known as Sberbank. The financial institution is reporting profits have dropped by, get this, nearly 80%. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Since the war broke out last year, a number of countries have imposed sanctions against Russia's largest companies, including Sberbank. Those sanctions prompted the bank to withdraw from the European market, and it's been excluded from the financial messaging system for global payments. It's not only the bankers who are struggling, but the whole Russian economy. The New York Daily News reported that Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska told an economic summit in Siberia earlier this month that Russia could be bankrupt by the end of 2024. He says Russia needs more foreign investment. In the South African city of Johannesburg, there's one group of people who welcome power outages. It's an army of self-appointed traffic cops. When a power cut happens, traffic lights quit working. And out of nowhere, these homeless men, they're wearing green high-visibility vests. Out of nowhere, they emerge and they start directing traffic. Ordinarily now, police would do it, but the blackouts are so widespread, there's just not enough regular cops to handle it. So these informal traffic wardens step in, and grateful motorists reward them with tiny donations. And for a guy like Abre Nalavu, it's a chance to put a few coins in his pocket.
Some of us don't have occupations. So if we're doing this, basically,
a Johannesburg police spokesman says these amateur traffic cops do help out, but he says they're doing it at a great risk to themselves. Without training, he says they face a high risk of being hit by cars. You know, drivers aren't the greatest in South Africa. Car accidents kill thousands of people every year. An animal story now. Niokolo National Park in the West African nation of Senegal has welcomed 3 new lion cubs. Here you see the 3-month-old cubs having some lunch with the lioness matriarch of the park. Her name is Flo. The 3 cubs were spotted by remote cameras last month. The U.S.-based wildcat conservation group Panthera says it's a thrilling sign of recovery. It says the West African lion is critically endangered. Panthera has been working in Senegal for about 12 years on conservation efforts, and it seems they've had some success because in that time, the number of lions in the park has risen from 10 or 15 to around 30. Sadly, West African lions have been the target of poachers, and the big cats have also suffered a loss of habitat. I'll be back in 7 days, and in the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now back here in Washington, Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez, in an event Friday, elaborates on what's in store for the Philippine-U.S. relations on several fronts. Here's Sarah Nachman on Embassy Files.
Philippine Ambassador to the United States Jose Manuel Romualdez delivers a lecture here today at the Institute of World Politics. This as the inaugural anniversary of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s administration nears. The Institute of World Politics hosts a lecture to address the importance of partnership between the two allies.
One of our key initiatives is to expand our network with other scholar practitioners, not only from the U.S. but also from allied countries in the regions of Northeast and Southeast Asia.
Ambassador Romualdez says the Philippines is prioritizing security in the Indo-Pacific as well as strengthening the economy of the Philippines that benefits both nations. He states there is a parallel in both Philippines and U.S. economy and hopes for more trading.
Economic trade between our two countries is something that we've always had for many years. We would like to see more activity between the United States and the Philippines because of our strong connection.
On security, he mentions the Philippines' perspective on global and regional challenges such as territorial maritime dispute with China.
The most pressing security threat to the Philippines is our territorial waters that are slowly being, not only is it the building of these reefs into islands or even military bases, but this is destroying the maritime richness of the area. But more importantly, again, is the territorial integrity of any country is something that is very sacred.
Referring to the Indo-Pacific region, Ambassador Romualdez underscores that in addition to the current military threat, cyber is also one of the Philippines' biggest concern in the country.
Well, cybersecurity is another issue that we should all be watching out for. Obviously, it's a growing concern for many nations, and Philippines is definitely included in that. And we even have, I might say, our fears of the use of the cyber network into to cyber crimes.
Going forward, the Philippine ambassador reiterates the importance of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, allowing 4 new locations for U.S. and Philippines interoperability, exercise, and even disaster response when needed.
The additional locations would further boost our collective defense and capabilities, promote interoperability between our forces, and address existing and potential security threats to our nation and people, both traditional and non-traditional.
Sarah Nachman, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The Agriculture Department kicks off the very first National Biobased Products Day. In celebration, the USDA highlights the accomplishments of people and organizations working to improve sustainability within the federal government. Bernadette Regini tells us more on Down to Earth.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture designates March 8 as National Biobased Products Day. The agency honors 2 decades of progress the BioPreferred program has accomplished. The BioPreferred program has been created by the U.S. Congress under the 2002 Farm Bill. The program is the federal government's official advocate and market accelerator for bio-based products. National Biobased Products Day is an annual celebration on March 8 to raise awareness of the benefits of bio-based products. The day recognizes the U.S. government's commitment to use federal resources in combating climate change and help rural communities address its impacts. Bernadette Regini, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
A diverse collection of exhibits from artists around the world dazzles and inspires crowds eager to satisfy their artistic palette. At the LA Art Show in Los Angeles, Eva and Alan on Color My World.
From modern to contemporary, digital to interactive, the LA Art Show returns for its 28th run.
This event once again transforms the Los Angeles Convention Center into a mega art gallery.
So today you're actually looking at 2 different styles that I actually work with. One being my Out of the Darkness, which is the fingerprints and the hands that you see where it's engraven. That's come from Nelson Mandela, South Africa, as inspiration. And then the other side is where the character is meant to be you as an individual. And so you're able to express your feelings onto the actual paintings. And with most of my work, I also work in gold and diamonds. So what you're seeing here is 23 karat gold leaf in multiple layers.
I was always interested in sort of a color-filled, flat painting. I found this material, plexiglass. It can show the depth, not like a conventional canvas painting. And then the colors that I work, it really matches and work with the material itself. I mix colors with this special ink that I mix with, and then each color is created in one at a time.
This is a rain, but the rain of letters. So the idea is to change the way the letters are perceived and to give color, individuality, to make them free. And so they can represent a lot of our thought, a lot of our storytelling. So you are invited to come inside and enjoy what is around you. In art, in contemporary art, what we care is give me something new and a new way to see around me. They say the sunrise and sunset are the same thing. The only thing that changes is our point of view. So I would like you to change your point of view.
Saying that one could get lost in art isn't some flight of fancy.
Especially when that art is immersive, both figuratively and literally.
Eva and Alan, Los Angeles, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now in Seattle, all things pop culture are on center stage. Enthusiasts from all over celebrate Emerald City Comicon's 20th year. Rex Dulai tells us more.
It's that time of the year again when comic book enthusiasts from all over the world gather in Seattle to celebrate their love for all things nerdy. This year's Emerald City Comic-Con promised to be bigger and better than ever, with a brand new venue, wide range of activities and events, and attractions that are sure to delight fans of all ages. The convention, which usually runs during the first weekend of March, features a jam-packed schedule of panels, workshops, and celebrity appearances. Fans will have the chance to meet some of their favorite comic book writers, actors, and artists, as well as attend panels on topics ranging from cosplay and fan fiction to the latest trends in comics. One of the highlights of the event is the actual venue where the convention is being held. The new edition of the Summit Building at the Seattle Convention Center hosts the 20th anniversary of Emerald City Comic-Con.
It's a big, wide open space. They have so many floors of amazing exhibits, and just so much to see and do.
Emerald City Comic-Con 2023 also features a wide range of exhibitors and vendors, offering everything from rare comic books and toy collectibles. Fans can shop for merchandise, get autographs and photos with their favorite stars, and even try out the latest board games and video games. Overall, this event delivers an exciting and unforgettable experience for fans of all things pop culture.
There's a lot of people gathered here today that have very similar interests, and it's a very comfortable and safe atmosphere to share your hobbies, and so it's a lot of fun, and everyone here is just really nice, and it's really fun to talk to everyone.
Whether you're a die-hard comic book fan, a casual viewer of TV shows and movies, or just someone who loves to geek out or people watch, there is something for everyone at Emerald City Comic-Con 2023. Reporting from Seattle, Washington, Rex Dulay for Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In Papua New Guinea, a surfing association and its partners push to combat gender-based violence, educate the youth, and reform the older generation through sports. Echo Hortaleza Canyola on Oceania at a Glance.
In the pursuit of addressing the issue of gender inequality in surfing communities around Papua New Guinea and Bougainville, a strategy was created by surfer Andrew Abel. Abel calls it the Pink Nose Revolution. He strongly believes that sports can be a great agent for change.
Happy to see the growing number of national sporting federations joining the Sports Revolution PNG as a homegrown organic body that's its primary focus is to educate the young and reform the old with a view of combating gender-based violence through sports.
The idea is if we can change mindsets through one sport with these simple policies, that we could implement that with all the sporting codes and create real change. The only way we're going to do that is through changing the mindset of people. So we're going to go through the biggest people organizations, which is sports.
Under the concept, Abel launches Sports Revolution PNG in cooperation with the U.S. Embassy, who is also into the Sports Envoy program. Both aim to combat gender-based violence, educate the youth, and reform the older generation through sports. The U.S. Sports Envoy program is designed to reach underserved communities. It is to inspire the youth by upskill surfing tips and techniques.
The U.S. Embassy is promoting women's empowerment and women's rights through all of our programs, and my office is also supporting other nonprofits that promote gender equality, and we will continue to do this. So it's an ongoing issue, but I'm thrilled that Papua New Guineans have created their own solution to a global problem. The future of PNG is in the hands of Papua New Guineans, and so we are proud that you have created this solution so that you can fulfill your own national destiny.
U.S. Public Diplomacy Officer Damian Wampler presents 3 professional surfers from the United States. The surfers visited Vanimo and conducted sports clinics. They push to eliminate gender-based violence in Papua New Guinea. Eko Hoteleza Kinyola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
This week, we asked those in school this question. With taxpayers having to shoulder the cost, should student loans be forgiven? Here's Chantel Santos.
Student loans are one of the easiest loans to obtain. 3 buttons, you're offered the loans, accept it, then maybe even the next week, it's in your bank account.
Education, they say, is priceless. But no matter how priceless it may be, college education these days does come with a hefty price tag. Students under financial challenges are forced to take on huge amounts of student loans in order to get a college degree, only to be burdened with paying them back with interest after graduating. In the US, it is estimated that canceling some student debt would cost American taxpayers about $400 billion. Should student loans then be forgiven? We interviewed some students regarding this matter. Let's hear what they have to say.
I do believe that student loans should be forgiven because I believe everybody has to have or deserves a right to an education, and one's financial status shouldn't determine or have a huge impact on whether a student feels like they can pursue a degree.
I think that they should be forgiven. Some people have, better foundations. Some people are more set on their finances. But then there are some that they just can't get any of that. The financial system would have provided more context and, just more training, more information on this for, high schoolers.
Students, when they graduate, they still have a lot of debt to pay up, right? They eventually have to pay it off. And depending on their job that they want to pursue, they could be in debt for probably more than their whole education, right? 12 years, 15 years, maybe until their 50s.
It's not really fair. I don't think it's right that students have to think about how much debt am I going to be in.
They just assume that, 20,000 is going to be 20,000. No, 20,000 in debt can easily become 40, 60 if you're not careful about what you're doing.
Indeed, student loans appear to be a make and break situation for most college students. Student loans can make one's dream of having a college degree a reality, but they can also break their lives after graduation, as they figure out how to pay their student loans back in the midst of an economy in crisis. Chantal Santos, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Now, before we let you go, here's our amazing photo of the week. This is a shot of a woman hiker in Pioneer Park in St. George, Utah, taken by her husband, Bien Angeles. And I'd like to also say Happy International Women's Day, especially to my wife, Chris, and to our mothers. Let's make sure to go out of our way and show our appreciation to the inspiring women in our life. And thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. Seating Limits with Alan Basalyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a Seat and Join Us with Anna Cui. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am EJ Gonzalez. We live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone.